So if you're going to ask about who was one of the most genocidal leaders in history, you'd say Hitler, right? Pol Pot. Did any of you guess King Leopold II of Belgium? Maybe, maybe not. Because we are only taught U.S. imperial history in schools, we here at Buzzsaw think it'd be a good idea to keep you informed of historical events and figures that may have been overlooked, censored, and forgotten in the whitewashing of our history. So today we bring you the story of King Leopold II of Belgium. Now, King Leopold owned the Congo during his reign as the constitutional monarch of Belgium in the late 1800s. While owning the Congo, King Leopold was responsible for the deaths of over 10 million Congolese. Let me repeat that number one more time so you fully understand it. 10 million people of the Congo were killed during King Leopold's reign. How does this happen, and how do we get from some guy in Belgium killing 10 million Africans in the Congo, and why?
Well, during the 1880s, when Europe was busy kind of dividing up the continent of Africa for its resources, King Leopold II basically came in and laid claim to the uncharted Congo Free State. Just said, "Yeah, it's mine." Even though hundreds of thousands of millions of people live there.
Yeah, right.
The 905,000 square miles, 76 times larger than Belgium, mind you, African rainforest held a vast fortune of rubber plantations, a commodity that was high demand in the 19th century in Europe.
Yeah, and so seeing that there were these vast wealth of minerals and things that he could make money off of, in 1876, Leopold formed the philanthropic organization, the Association Internationale Africaine, or the International African Association, which sounds so lovely, and became its single shareholder. Under the guise of missionary work and the westernization of African peoples, the International African Association was a vehicle to enslave people of the Congo River Basin, simply to enrich King Leopold. That's
Pretty much.
all that happened.
Pretty
it's
much.
very also similar, this is sort of what happened in the United States. Same idea with the Native Americans. It's people came in and said, hey, you have all of this stuff. So what we're going to do is we're going to tell you that everything you think and everything you do is wrong, and we're going to take your land, and we're going to abuse you, and we're going to do it.
We're going to take all the wealth out of your land.
We're going to take all the wealth out of your free state that was free.
In 23 years, Leopold II ruled Congo, and he massacred, like we said before, 10 million Congolese. This is how he did it, generally, just so we get an idea of how vicious this guy was and how vicious this reign was. He would cut off their hands and genitals. He would flog them to death. He would starve them and put them into forced labor just to get this, all these minerals and the rubber and all that. He would hold children for ransom and burn villages. Lovely guy, this historical figure who's on money, by the way, who he put on money. Lovely.
And how does he do this?
Well, he did this because he had his private mercenary force, the Force Publique, to do his terrorizing and killing. White officers often commanded black soldiers, many of whom had been kidnapped as children during raids and then raised in like missionaries and things like that. So you kidnap the children, indoctrinate them. They have no other way to go because they're kidnapped. They've lost all their culture. And then you turn these kids, and you turn these former members of Congress on themselves. Great, now we're going to use you guys. Tell me a little bit about how the old Force Publique operated.
So you have your charitable organization and your community
police force
that's just supposed to keep everything in line. One of the junior officers that was part of that had described a raid to punish a village that had protested what was going on with him, and this is what he had to say, quote, "The commanding officer ordered us to cut off the heads of the men and hang them on the village palisades, also their sexual members, and to hang the women and children on the palisade in the form of a cross," end quote.
That's incredible. I mean, that's just dirty. I mean, it turns my stomach at how bad that is.
And we're all like, what? Was there how did Africa get where it was?
It is today.
How does it happen? It's guys like this.
You didn't learn this in history class. I didn't.
No. You're not told these things. You're not told about it. Everything sort of, like you said, gets whitewashed. And I'll tell you why people like this get away with it. Why he isn't Hitler. Why he isn't Pol Pot. Why people don't say Leopold, what a horrible human being. Like,
Yeah.
that's why it's not a common thing with us. And this is how you get away with it. Because Leopold II committed every one of these atrocities over the years while never stepping foot in the Congo.